Welcome to Your Thoughts, Your Reality with Michael Cole, the podcast that shines a compassionate light on the journey of veterans battling through life's challenges. Michael is a dual elite certified neuroencoding specialist in coaching and keynote training presentations, dedicated to guiding military veterans as they navigate the intricate pathways of post-deployment life. Join him as we delve into the profound realm of neuroencoding science, empowering these brave individuals to conquer universal battles, procrastination, self-doubt, fear, and more. Together, let's uncover the strength within you to re-engage with families and society, forging a new path forward.
Hello. So today we have a return guest, my friend Myron Miller. Excited to have you on. Myron is a dual elite neurocoding specialist for coaching and speaking. He's got over 30 years in architectural design, construction, and real estate development. Successfully owned and managed multiple multi-million-dollar companies. He works with young adults finding direction and setting achievable goals, which is super fantastic. We're going to talk about that more. And he works with schools and so on. It's really great to, of course, see someone getting in when they're young, because how much would it help us if we had the same thing? So Myron, thank you very much for being on the show. Always a pleasure, my friend. So why don't you tell a little bit more about yourself?
Glad to be here, Michael. Thanks again for having me back. Really enjoyed our last time, and just wanted to kind of get back in with you and continue the conversation where we were at last time. But yeah, as you said, 30 years of entrepreneurial work in architecture, design, construction, real estate development, and spent the past 3 years here really kind of changing course and focusing on coaching and helping young adults making that transition from either military, college, or just regular school into civilian and regular life, and trying to find their path and find their way.
Where were you 30 years ago?
Just as lost as you were.
I respect that. Always respect that honesty. Yeah, if I would have been in this realm, in this world, then I mean, what you're doing for these young people, it's fantastic, man. So hats off and applause to you, my friend. So really quick before we get started, everybody, I want to point out the blue QR code on the top right hand corner. It takes you to Empower Performance Strategies. There's lots of information, resources, a couple of books I've written. Takes you to Facebook groups. So really get involved, with the community around you. So with that said, Myron, let's dive in. Yeah,
I'm ready.
All right. So Myron, I know the story, but can you share a little bit more of the pivotal moment when you really got involved in coaching and transformation, and what that kind of did for you?
The pivotal moment is I'm a husband and father. I've got 5 daughters, and their ages 11 to 28. And working with just being around them, all of their friends and boyfriends and different things, and just talking with them and hearing the struggles that they have and the things they're dealing with, and the struggle of, what do I do? Do I go to college? Do I get a job? Or do I do both? If I go to college, what path do I take? The school doesn't teach them, nobody teaches them how to set a course, pick a goal, pick a dream, or that they can even do that and have the ability to do that, and the skills and just how to do it. And watching them with the struggles and knowing the struggles that we went through at that age, and how much they've been amplified now by the massive amount of information that's available to the kids. Because now, where for us, when we were 18, 20 years old, if we wanted to do something, we were getting an encyclopedia or, going to the library or those kind of things. But now everything is on their phone. So it's a compounded problem, because one, there's a total overwhelm of options and information, but then there's a total lack of necessity to actually have to learn things ahead of time. Because why waste the time doing all this research when you want to know the answer? You just pick up the phone and Google it.
Right.
and that just compounds on itself so much to where it makes it hard to look to the future and forecast and envision what 5 years from now would look like.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a great point that you bring up. First of all, hold on. 5 daughters?
Yeah.
How many bathrooms do you have, my friend?
2.
Sorry, couldn't help myself. It's like for me, and I'm assuming it's the same for most people. When I start trying to do research, you don't know who's an actual expert.
Yeah.
And as you go through so much information, it literally can become, give you anxiety and stress just trying to find it. What kind of tips would you give people that are looking for information online, since most people aren't picking up that encyclopedia?
Anytime you're doing research online, you need to verify your sources
Mm.
and know who the person on the other end of that is, and are they qualified to be stating what they're stating. Is the information valid? With all of the political atmosphere that we're in now and everything like that, it's there's fake news or real news. Is there even a thing as real news anymore? Do we even know that? So where, just because it's on YouTube or on Facebook or even on Google, doesn't mean it's actually real or it's actually true. And just, I mean, if nothing else, just find multiple sources and see if they all agree or conflict with each other.
Well,
That's the simplest way to do it, is just to find multiple different sources and make sure it all agrees and says the same thing.
absolutely. I think also, if I can add to that, that's great. Again, create your average, right? Sorry, I have a spider that's hanging down right here. Almost got me, man. But also, your intuition. If you're reading something or listening to something and it's like, maybe just listen to that too.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
yeah, excellent advice. Thank you. So, unless it is Empower Performance Strategies or Miller Minded, this is all real. It's all good information. All right. So, for veterans in their 20s and 30s, struggling with transition to civilian life, and it's not just veterans; it's also their families. And I know this is going to get a little more into your wheelhouse as well, dealing with the early 20s and late teens. But what are some practical steps they can take to set clear and achievable goals? Because I think that's really what's important, especially for veterans, to come out and have a game plan. When you come out and you don't have a game plan, and during that transition, it's tough. So, what are some tips that you have for the younger generation, if you will?
I always tell people when they're making their goals, and they're called SMART goals. You make them smart.
Mm.
Is it is it specific? When you're setting your goals, make them very, very specific. If you want to say, I want to make more money, okay, well, you made $1, you made more money, you're done. I want to make, set how much money you want to make, exactly what do you want to do, and then for it needs to be something that's attainable.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want your goal to be, I want to live on the moon in 3 years. It has to be something that is realistic and attainable.
Yeah.
And the biggest problem and the biggest thing I tell people to do is, when you're setting a goal, why are you doing it? What is the reason you're setting the goal? If you're, and this goes back to a Tony Robbins reference, if your why is big enough, the how doesn't matter.
Yep.
If you know why you're doing something, you have a timeline for doing it, how it gets done will work itself out. Because once you dive into it, that's where you figure out how to do it. But if you're setting a goal and it's a big goal and you don't know how you're going to do it, and you get hung up on, how can I do this? This isn't possible. You will never move forward with it, because you'll get hung up on, how am I going to do it?
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
your why is your biggest thing, whether it's you're doing it for, to advance your career, you're doing it for your kids, you're doing it for your family, whatever that reason is, the bigger your why is, the more likely you're going to make your goal.
Yeah, absolutely. And great. I love SMART goals. It's fantastic. So can we role play for a second and take
Sure.
somebody through a SMART goal?
Yeah.
Myron coaching right now. All right, take some wrinkles away and get rid of some gray. I'm 21 years old. I have no idea what I want to do with my life. Where would you start?
What's your background?
I just got, man, you're really working me on this one. I just got out of the military, 2-year deployment. I studied electronics.
Studied electronics. What,
So,
what do you enjoy? What do you enjoy doing the most? Do you
you
enjoy
know,
doing the electronics?
I it's not so much electronics that I really love. It's more like social media type marketing. I think that I'm going to really enjoy.
Okay. All right. What What is one thing that you want to accomplish in the next 5 years?
Well, I want to move out of my parents' house that I just moved back into after deployment, and really, I just want to be able to sustain myself. That's really what I want to. I want to pay my bills, have my apartment, or potentially even buy a house.
Okay. Are you currently working?
I'm not.
Okay. So a couple of things we need to look at and kind of strategize. Do you have a piece of paper you can write these down?
I do. Thank you.
Okay. First and foremost, we need to take care of the necessities today, because if we don't cover the necessities, then you're going to be living in a panic state and anxiety trying to make something work.
Totally good.
And there's a difference between being engaged and working towards goals versus in panic mode and anxiety and trying to make anything work so you can survive.
Absolutely understand that. That's a
So
great.
so we need to come up with a plan, a short-term plan of how you're going to cover your daily expenses and your living expenses, whether that's getting a job at the local grocery store, bagging groceries, or doing warehouse work at night or something, like anything that's going to give you an income for a short-term purpose and make you to be able to cover your basic needs so you're not in panic and you're not in a anxious state all the time trying to force things to happen. Because when you're trying to get a goal, pushing forward and doing things on purpose is way different than I have to make this happen or I'm not going to be able to pay the bills next month.
Love it. Love it.
They're
All
two
right.
different things.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just wanted people to understand kind of how the SMART goal works, and we didn't go through all of it, but
Right.
it's finding out your why, as he said, which is fantastic, or what you want, and then starting to break it down into making it, smaller goals that are attainable and so on, reachable. And we didn't get to timeline exactly, but he was going there.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic, Myron. Thank you. And Myron had no idea I was going to do that to him. Professional coach right there. Nice job. Seriously. So if we can, let's now kind of move forward from that. So as far as neuron coding, we're both dual elite neuron coding specialists. And so what neuron coding specialist training tricks, tips, any of those words, would you give to someone in that same situation? As far as, hey, I'm anxious as hell. I'm stressed out. I'm not making good decisions, as you kind of brought up a second ago when you're in that unresourceful state. What are some thoughts or tips, if you will, for that?
The first thing I would do would walk them through the stop technique.
Okay. Would you like to do that?
Absolutely can.
I'm not going to actually jump up and everything, though, just so you know.
Oh, come on. It doesn't, you got to do it all or it doesn't work.
I'll do this.
Okay. So the basic premise of the stop technique is kill the monster while it's a baby. And we all have things that trigger us, or situations that, put us in unresourceful state of mind. And we know most of what those are. Everybody pretty much knows themselves enough to know what they can deal with and what triggers them and puts them in a bad state. And what the stop technique does is it makes you feel bad on purpose when you're in a controlled environment. If you're scared of, oh, here we go. If you're scared of spiders, you just have a spider there with you. You know, The thing about your mind is your mind doesn't know the difference between reality and something you vividly imagine.
Right.
So if you're scared of spiders, then I want you to imagine a spider crawling on your forehead and how that makes you feel. And
Okay,
then,
I'm going to do that. Hey, Myron, really quick as we go through this. Sorry to interrupt you, but it's important. So as you go through this, remember, obviously we're on, live streaming right now, and people will watch this later. But we're also on Spotify and Apple Podcast and all of those. So just be descriptive when you're talking about it for people that are just hearing, if you can, please.
okay. So the stop technique basically works this way. You make yourself feel bad on purpose. You break the pattern. You make yourself feel good, and then you celebrate.
Yes.
And you do this repetitively over and over and over again to where it gets to the point where you can't make yourself feel bad, and it negates and minimizes that anxious feeling or that anxiety or whatever that feeling you're trying to get rid of, to where it's something and you replace it with something of you have control over.
Fantastic. Yeah, thank you. And I just want to say, the more you do it, you literally, like, I have people do it. I won't go through all of it, but 10 times in a row. And when you're standing up, you're yelling, stop, standing up, smiling, celebrating, all those things. As you start getting around 6 or 7, it's hard to get in an unresourceful state or to really think about that spider that's on my forehead.
Yeah.
So try it. It's an amazing tool. So thank you for discussing that. Appreciate it.
I use it, and I've used it for several things, to the point now that if something is triggering me to where it's going to be a problem, I can literally just think stop in my head, and just that process at this point now does it.
Yeah,
And you
absolutely.
don't, it gets down to where you just have to think the process in your head, and it works.
Absolutely. And it's conditioning. It's just like when you're in the military.
Yes.
You're conditioned to do things, right? It's very similar to that. The more you do it, it becomes conditioned in you. Like, for instance, with me, and I teach my clients the same thing. And everybody, just so you know, as neuroencoding, specialists, we don't just tell people things we don't do ourselves. We don't, we're teaching reality. We're not, uh, telling
We don't
theory.
teach theory. No.
Thank you. I could not think of teach theory. Thank you, Myron. Appreciate that backup, buddy. So, for me, I teach my clients and I do the same thing. I'll condition it and just squeeze my fist and celebrate it. And then, or I'll have them do this, because you can't do stop techniques or other techniques like that in public. People think you're weird. So if you're just doing this and smiling, no one knows any difference, and you just change the game for yourself in that moment, if you start having that stress or anxiety like you was talking about. So fantastic. So what strategies do you recommend for individuals who feel stuck in their past or unable to move forward? This is a good one.
This is a good one. Stuck in their past and unable to move forward. I guess the first thing I would ask them is, in their mind, in their thoughts, what is making them feel like they're stuck?
Hmm.
Why are they stuck?
Right.
What are those roadblocks that are keeping you from moving forward? Are those self-imposed roadblocks? Are they physical? Or is it something outside of your control that you can't change? Because depending on what the roadblocks are is depending on how you're going to get around them.
True.
If it's something that's self-imposed and it's something that you've been telling yourself, whether it's maybe imposter syndrome of I don't have the qualifications to do that, or I'm not good enough to do that, or whatever. That's one thing different than you want to be a changer and all the light bulbs are at 10 feet and you only have a 3-foot ladder. That's something that is physically, there's nothing you can do about it, and you have to figure out a different way or a different path or different things like that. So figuring out what the roadblocks are is key to being able to unstick yourself from wherever you're at.
Awesome. So let's use an example, and I'm going to say that probably 90% of the roadblocks people have are mental. It's
Yes.
their thoughts, because that becomes, I don't know, your reality. plug. So if your thoughts are your reality, that changes the game. So if it is someone's thoughts, and again, I'm not going to go through major role play here, but just give you an example. So someone says, I can't get that great job because I don't have the education.
Okay. What would it take for you to get the education to be able to get that job?
Right. So I'm gonna continue role playing with you here. I'm sorry. So I would need to go to college and find money to do that.
Okay. So have you actually sat down and looked at what it would take to go to college? Do they offer night classes, weekend classes? Can you do online classes and have a job that you're doing that just pays your bills for now while you go through school and get that education? Yes, you're not going to have that job tomorrow. It's going to put it as a long-term goal, but this is something in 2 years, 5 years, whatever the time frame that it would take to set up. It is obtainable, but you've got to make a smart plan for it, set a timeline, set benchmarks, and start working towards that goal. Just sitting here going, I don't have the education, I can't do that. If that's what you keep telling yourself, you're going to be right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And you notice that Myron brought us right back to SMART goals, right? Chunking it down and creating SMART goals. So sometimes that overwhelm, and Myron, and hopefully you agree with this, that overwhelm and that anxiety just takes us to a place where we're not thinking straight, which goes back to your original point. So
Yeah.
So if you can slow down, and Myron, maybe you can give us a quick tip on how to get out of your head so that you can slow down. And the trick is, at least my opinion is, the trick is realizing you're there in the first place. You're in that unresourceful state.
Yes.
Because everybody's going to go there. It's human nature that we go there. It's our brain trying to protect ourselves. So if they find themselves in a unresourceful state, what's a quick little tip that can help them get out so they can start thinking clearly and create those SMART goals?
There's a couple things you do. The number one thing you can do that will help you the fastest is change your physiology.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in an unresourceful state, get up, go take a walk, move around, play some music that gets you back into a resourceful state. My go-to is I will just walk outside. It doesn't matter if it's 20 degrees or in the middle of the summer. Just walk outside for a minute and breathe, and just take in nothing for a minute and just let your brain reset. Sometimes the biggest thing is our state, our physical state. Because if you change your physical state, I mean, you see it all the time in sporting events. They're getting ready for a sporting event. What do they do? What do they do when they're warming up and getting ready? They're changing their physical state, whether it's a basketball game or a boxing match or a football game or whatever. All of the people involved are actively changing their physical state to get into the state of mind they need to be to play the game.
Absolutely. Yeah. Fantastic. Fantastic. And so when you say change your physical state, so exercise as well, obviously going out and walking, that kind of thing, exercise, just sitting up straight and putting a smile on your face changes the game too. So,
and it doesn't have to be, you have to go exercise for an hour to do it. No, this is a 30-second to 2-minute thing. Just enough to just break your pattern, interrupt it, get your mind to refocus, and then come back and address whatever it is that's you're dealing with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I know you have I'm gonna kind of flip the script here just a little bit. I know you have a background in architect and development and those kinds of things. Have those helped you in coaching the structures and things?
It has. It really has, because anytime you're dealing with anything construction, design based, whatever, or even if you're buying real estate, it all comes down to the foundation.
Hmm.
And I know that's a little cheesy to kind of go that way, but it's the truth. If the foundation is bad, nothing else matters. It doesn't matter what the paint color is. It doesn't matter what the roof looks like, because if the foundation's crumbling, the building's going to come down. We're the same way. If we do not have a solid foundation physically, mentally, emotionally to stand on and work on, there's no way we can build up from that until we fix whatever the foundational problems are.
Yeah, absolutely. And can I take it one step further?
Absolutely.
Because of the design element,
Yes.
SMART goals. So if you can, to start thinking about those, designing your life, if you will, from the foundation, it really changes that as well. So if you start creating those SMART goals, and you can do them in different sections of your life, so you don't have to just be like one big, I'm going to be wealthy. It can be family, spirituality, health, different elements, as well. So and then work on the ones that are the on the lower side, if you were to gauge them from 1 to 10, to kind of catch them up to have more of a balanced life. That's really good once you have that foundation, and maybe even before, to be excited about that future and building that life, designing that life, if you will. Sorry, I had to play off the design thing. So fantastic information. We're getting close to the end of the show here. So Myron, how do people reach out to you?
I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all under Miller Minded. You can reach out to me there.
Excellent. So we do this every time at the end of the show. First of all, before we go to this, is there anything else that, I know you work with kids and, kids, young adults, I should say. They're kids to me because I'm old, older. So is there any tips that you would specifically give to them, or that you see them struggling with more so, to kind of get them further faster in that element before we get into the military part of it?
I the key to anything is recognizing where your weaknesses are or where your struggle points are, and understanding that asking for help, asking for guidance is that's a superpower, that is not a weakness.
It's courage, 100%. Thank you
Yeah,
for bringing that up.
and especially for guys, we talked about this before and stuff, but we're not wired to ask for help, and we can sit there and struggle and stew in our own misery for a long time, but even if it's just talking to a friend or a family member or coworker or anybody, sometimes just talking it out with somebody else helps you spark different things that you didn't think about, or different options or different resources that you wouldn't think about normally.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
just have the conversations and talk about it.
Yeah, great tip. Great tip. Yeah, so there was a joke, and it's not, I haven't heard the joke lately because I think the generation is past, or is older, I should say, and GPS came out, right? So, there used to be this joke, where men would not ask for directions, would not ask for help, and they'd drive around for days, hours, realistically. And it would cause so many marital problems that just men would not ask for help. And thank goodness for GPS. Thank goodness for GPS, Myron. It saves
Yes,
so many
absolutely.
marriages. Hey, so now let's go ahead and move into military. Thank you for the tip, by the way. So 3 ways for to get military veterans and their families further faster. And pick anything you want. It's all yours.
3 things to get faster. I would say the number one top thing is to be in agreement on what your goals are as a family.
Mm,
Sit down as a family and make your family SMART goals.
love that.
That way everybody knows where we're going, everybody knows the map, and everybody knows what we're doing, and everybody is involved and engaged in it, even the
Absolutely,
kids.
absolutely love that, Myron. That's
I,
fantastic.
I think that would be number one. Number two is have grace,
Mm,
because none of us are perfect, and the biggest person you have to have grace with is yourself. To know that you're not going to get it right every time you go, and being able to go, all right, that didn't work, or I screwed up, or I didn't do it the way I was supposed to. Brush yourself off, stand up, go again.
celebrate you tried.
That's right.
Celebrate. You tried. We do not celebrate enough.
And it's funny you mentioned celebrate, because the third one was going to be celebrate.
We didn't practice this. We did not.
We did not practice it, but the third one is just celebrate the small victories, even if they're you got up and made your bed this morning.
Amen.
It's just celebrate the victories, no matter how small or minute they are.
Absolutely. You woke up on the right side of the dirt, man. You get a chance to do something great today, even if that is just brushing your teeth.
Yeah.
Amen. Celebrate it. Myron, absolute pleasure as always, man. Thank you for coming back on the show. We'll have you again, obviously. Really, really appreciate the tips, the wisdom, and you. So thank you very much for being on the show.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely. Thank you. All right, everybody. We are out of here.
Thank you for joining us on another insightful journey of Your Thoughts, Your Reality podcast with your host, Michael Cole. We hope the conversation sparked some thoughts that resonate with you. To dive deeper into empowering your thoughts and enhancing your reality, visit empowerperformancestrategies.com. Remember, your thoughts shape your reality, so make them count. Until next time, stay inspired and keep creating the reality you desire. Catch you on the next episode.